welcome back to Zoo School Live. My name is Elisa, and before we meet our friend, we're going to share some artwork with you guys. So Liam and Ronan from New York City drew Sydney the blue-tongued skink. And of course, one of my favorite parts of this is obviously the blue tongue, but I also really like the scales that they drew on Sydney, because when we met Sydney, remember I talked about how they kind of look like fish scales? So look at all those scales on Sydney. That is perfection, Liam and Ronan. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you guys would love to send your artwork to the zoo, we would love to see it, and we'd love to share it. It really makes us keepers here at the zoo really happy when we get to see your renditions of our wonderful animals. So you might hear our friend making a little bit of racket, so I think he wants to come out and say hello. We are going to meet Alpha, the African bullfrog. That's quite a large frog, don't you think? So, Alpha here is a frog, and I know that you guys, if you tuned in with Keeper Eric's Zoo School Live episode with our frogs on exhibit, he's quite a lot bigger, right? But we learned that these guys are what we call amphibians. So amphibians have a few characteristics. Similarly to reptiles, they are cold-blooded, so that means that they can't regulate their body temperature on their own, so they are going to be the temperature that it is outside or around them, right? So amphibians are notably having slimy skin. So you have salamanders, newts, frogs, toads. Those are all examples of amphibians, and there's a reason for that slimy skin. They also tend to be near or in water. They also have stages of growth. So, for example, frogs and toads start out as tadpoles, and they have a tail and gills but no legs. And then when they start growing, they have arms, and they still have that tail, and they start to lose their gills and lungs start to form. And then when they become an adult, they don't have any tail, they don't have those gills, they have lungs instead. So that is kind of what frogs and toads look like when they're younger. So Alpha here is a rather large amphibian, and he has slimy skin. The reason why these guys have slimy skin is to keep their skin moist, because they breathe through their skin. How weird is that, right? So that's why I'm wearing these gloves. That's so that I don't get anything on my hands onto his skin that he could breathe in. So they can breathe in through those little nostrils that they have, and their mouth and their lungs do function, but most of the time they're going to be breathing through their skin. So hand sanitizer and soap and water for us, especially during this time, is super important for us to stay clean. But that soap and that alcohol and the hand sanitizer can be pretty hurtful when we're touching the skin of an amphibian. So that's why I'm wearing these gloves right now. So Alpha here is a type of frog that is native to the savannas of southern Africa. These guys can get to be the size of a dinner plate. That's huge. So they're going to be growing a little bit bigger in the wild compared to the ones that we have here at the zoo, because in the wild they're going to be eating larger things. He gets fed fish, crickets, mealworms, waxworms, red wigglers, and in the wild they're going to be eating frogs and birds and reptiles and toads, so they're going to be eating a little bit bigger prey. These guys are the largest frog in South Africa, not in the world, but in South Africa. I actually have a skull here from a Goliath frog, and Goliath frogs can grow to lengths over 30 inches. Let's compare. Over 30 inches, and they can weigh 7 pounds, or over 7 pounds. You can see he's scooting his bottom toward my leg. That's because they like to be enclosed. If I had my legs open, he'd probably crawl toward my inner thighs just so that he could make a cozy little space. So if there's dark corners or little holes or crevices, that's definitely where he's going to place himself. So this is quite a large skull. So this is from, again, a Goliath frog. Now, Alpha here is still pretty big. Males can get to be 9 inches and in the wild about 3 pounds. Females about 4 inches. And it's the males who watch over the eggs. Females can weigh maybe about 2 pounds, but they lay between 3,000 and 4,000 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. And another characteristic of amphibians is that they don't have shells on those eggs. And a lot of frogs lay eggs in water, and it's the dads that watch over those eggs. So I'm sure you guys can tell while our camera person is working the angles that Alpha moves a little bit differently from most frogs. He does this gremlin-like walk. It's a little creepy, it's a little strange, but he does that movement more than hopping. He can hop for sure, he can jump pretty high, but he prefers this crawling, walking method for sure. These guys have 3 tooth-like projections on their lower jaw. They're called odontodes, and those odontodes help these guys to latch on to their prey. So we're gonna see in a little bit, we're gonna feed him because he hasn't eaten yet today. We'll see if he'll show you how he eats. He opens his entire mouth completely wide, super wide, so that the bottom of his mouth hits the floor. And they have a really, really gaping mouth. So they swallow everything around them. Sometimes he accidentally swallows dirt, so that's why we try and take him out of his enclosure, because he has nice, beautiful soil in his enclosure. We take him out so that he doesn't accidentally eat too much dirt. In the wild, these guys spend almost the whole year underground. Isn't that crazy? They spend about 10 months during the dry season underground, and they'll have their nose sticking up when it's the wet season, and they'll still cover themselves underground. So they spend a ton of time not even appearing on the surface. Another cool thing about these guys is when they eat, they close their eyes, and that helps them to swallow. So frogs, if you watch them eat, they'll close their eyes, and it helps them to digest the food that they're eating. So Alpha here, he came to us from the Fort Wayne Zoo, and he weighs about 2.6 pounds, and his birthday is actually coming up. So his birthday is May 19th, 2016, so he will be 4 years old in a couple of weeks, really soon. These guys, you're not going to believe it, they can live to be 45 years old. We're gonna have Alpha for quite some time, I'm sure. I think we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try and feed him now. I think that would be fun, right? So one of the food items that I mentioned that he really enjoys is fish. He really, really likes fish. And we also have some mealworms here. Crickets he got yesterday, and those are also his favorite, but crickets run around and jump away, so we're gonna use mealworms instead, okay? Let's see if he's interested in eating. See how he's closing his eyes when he swallows? And did you see how wide he opened his mouth while he ate? It drops to the floor. Now his eyes are kind of on the side, right? So if I put it right here in the middle, he might not see it too easily. Oh, he's still swallowing. I'm sorry. Give him some time. That was good, right? Mm-hmm. You ready for your next piece? Excuse you. Okay, I'm gonna put it down right there if you want it, okay? You sure? Okay. We'll give him a little breather, see if he'll digest a little bit, and then we'll give him another piece. So, I don't know if you guys, while he's opening and closing his mouth a little bit, you can see those like tooth-like projections. Again, they're harder parts of his lower jaw, and they pop out more than the rest. Don't be food shy. And they, again, help to latch on to the prey that he would be eating in the wild. Now, he doesn't have to worry too much about latching on to big prey because the biggest thing he eats here is fish. But he definitely wants to latch on a little bit to those crickets because they might jump away. In the wild, these guys are known for being pretty aggressive. So not only will they inflate themselves and make them even bigger than they already are, but they will actually lunge toward animals that scare them or might want to eat them. So what things might want to eat these guys? Any medium-sized omnivore or carnivore. Birds in the African savanna would definitely take these guys as a snack for sure. Hi, we're gonna come back this way, okay? I know. Want to try your more fish? He says, I don't want your fish. What about a mealworm? We didn't try those yet, did we? And he says, I don't want that mealworm either. That's okay. No worries. All right, guys, I think we're going to start answering some of your questions that you might have about Alpha as I attempt to keep him from walking too far. All right, Mason would like to know if they make good pets. Mason, what a great question. Honestly, I'm not sure. Frogs in general are really, really hard to take care of. They need very, very specific temperatures, and they need very specific humidity, right? So these guys have to have their skin moist so that they don't die. They can die if they get too dry, right? When I was a kid, I actually had an African claw frog as a pet. He made quite a lot of noise and he lived a good long while, but I had to make sure that his water was kept up every day, and I had to make sure that the temperature was just right for him, and I had to make sure that the humidity was right for him too. So in general, I would say frogs are pretty difficult to have as pets, and I don't think that these guys are quite common. Unfortunately, I mean, these guys are doing okay in the wild. They are of least concern according to IUCN Red List. That being said, natives of Southern Africa do consider these guys a delicacy. So they will eat them. People will eat these guys as a special treat. Lauren would like to know what they smell like. Well, I can tell you that is such an interesting question, Lauren. I can tell you that their tanks do not smell pleasant. They definitely aren't the most wonderful smelling things in the world, that's for sure. They are slimy, and their poop is also very stinky, and it goes into the water and it makes everything kind of smell, including their bodies. So to answer your question in shorter terms, I would say not great, Lauren. They don't smell that great. Good question. Isaiah would like to know if they have nails. Let's find out, why don't we? Nope, these guys don't really have nails. That doesn't mean that other frogs don't have certain claws or keratinized outer parts of their limbs or phalanges. But these guys, their front feet are actually not webbed. Their back feet are, I don't know if we can see, you can just see that little foot. Oh, thanks. He's like, no, I don't want to show you my foot. See that webbing? Maybe. So it depends on the species of frog, whether or not they have webbing or nails or claws. Again, this is Alpha, the African bullfrog. He weighs 2.6 pounds, and his birthday is on May 19th, 2016, so he will be 4. He will be 4 in May. Well, it is May, but in a couple weeks. Emily would like to know if these guys are poisonous. What a great question, Emily. These guys are not poisonous. What a good question. Again, these gloves are for his protection, not mine. We do have special water for these guys, and we spray them down with that special water. The water that is in their enclosure is that special water, and then if we handle them with our bare hands, we spray our hands first with that water as well. But these guys are not poisonous nor venomous. Look at that gremlin walk. He's having a blast today, getting some exercise too. Katie would like to know what color are his eyes. Let's find out. I think they're yellow. They're actually really pretty. They're like a pale yellow color with some dark brown colors in there. They look black because those pupils are quite big, right? Good question. Trevor would like to know what his predators are. Good question, Trevor. So these guys would be eaten by pretty much anything that would like a good snack. Mostly birds. Mostly birds in the parts of Africa will eat these guys. Oh, you hold my hand? How nice. Okay. Bye. Jackson would like to know what his favorite food is. I think crickets. I think crickets are his favorite food, and I think giving him the crickets are definitely the best for him, and the fact that he has to hunt them down. So it helps to promote natural behavior. Again, everything that we feed here at the zoo is already dead, except for a few bugs. So mealworms and red wiggler worms, waxworms, superworms, and crickets. So I would say crickets are his favorite. He got those yesterday. Isaiah would like to know if he has any friends. These guys are nocturnal and solitary. So we met a lot of solitary animals, right, where they like their alone time. He does have a neighbor, however, Echo. And Echo is actually quite a lot smaller than Alpha. These guys can bellow and roar. I've never seen Alpha or Echo do that, but to perform mating calls or alarm calls, these guys can make pretty loud noises to either scare away predators or to attract some females. Courtney would like to know, do they eat spiders? So if there was a spider crawling around and they had nothing else to eat, they absolutely would eat those spiders, Courtney. Great question. Owen and Tyler would like to know if Alpha has any kids, any children of his own. He does not. So he has not had an opportunity to mate with a female, so he does not have any children of his own. That would also be quite an undertaking, don't you think? 3,000 to 4,000 1,000 eggs the females lay. I don't think we have enough room or space or resources to take care of that many tiny frogs. Liam and Ronan would like to know how high he can jump. These guys, get this, you ready? They can jump 3 feet high and 6 feet long. So I'm quite a short person. I'm 5'2", so they could probably, if I was standing up, maybe my hips. Is that 3 feet? Maybe my hips. And 6 feet long? That's the length of this tarp, I think. That's a pretty big distance. So, have they ever jumped that high or that far? No, not that I have seen. Regina would like to know if she gets any enrichment. Yes. So, unlike Sally the cockatoo, for example, who loves to tear apart cardboard or throw things off tables, these guys are similar to our reptiles that really, really like things to hide in or under. So, different hides are great. Cardboard boxes, not so great because they live in such a wet environment. Their enclosure is very humid and wet, so cardboard boxes would get really wet and deteriorate quickly. But we have lots of different hides that these guys can hide under. They also really like rocks and use rocks to help them to get their slimy skin off of them when they shed them off. Keith would like to know if they are born with the bumps on their skin. Good question, Keith. So, yes and no. Yes in the fact that the bumps get bigger as they get bigger. So I highly doubt that you would be able to notice or see those bumps while these guys are tadpoles. Walking like a person. There you go. But these guys in particular, you can see those bumps are definitely pretty pronounced, right? For sure. I think we'll try and see if he's interested in eating that fish again. Let's find out. Get time to digest that first piece. If he says, no thank you, that's quite all right, Alpha. Ian would like to know how much does he eat each day? Really good question. So these guys, we want to vary their diet, right? We don't want them to be getting the same thing every day. So it's based on a rotation. He will get about 10 to 15 grams of fish one day. And then another day he will get 10 to 15 crickets. And then he also gets something, it's this gel-like substance that has all of these nutrients and minerals that he needs to stay nice and healthy. So he gets that, I think, 2 times a week. And then he has, I believe, a fasting day where he's not fed anything. But he is a carnivore, so all of the things that he is getting are meat-based. All right, guys, it looks like we have time for 3 more questions about Alpha, the African bullfrog here. Zachary would like to know what they feel like. Oh, Zachary, what a great question. So we actually have a fake frog that was purchased at a craft store, and it's covered in bumps. And then we would use aloe vera to show our kids what that bumpy, slimy skin feels like. So remember, reptiles, not slimy. Reptiles are super smooth. They feel like your fingernails. These guys are the ones that are slimy. They have that mucousy, slimy skin to help them be able to breathe through that skin. So bumpy and slimy is how I would explain his skin. That's what he feels like. Bradley would like to know if these guys are endangered. Look at that, he helped. Good question, Bradley. These guys are not endangered. These guys are actually classified as least concern according to the IUCN Red List. So these guys are doing pretty okay in the wild. Good question. And then I think we have one more question. Carolina would like to know. Oh, this I think is my favorite question. I'm gonna admit she would like to know if Alpha knows Kermit the Frog. I bet you he does. you know, Kermit seems like a really friendly guy, so I bet you that they are friends. What a great question, Carolina. Oliver wanted us to know it's National Pet Week. And because of that, you know what, guys? We would love to see pictures of your pets. So if you want to send those to us, we would love to share with everybody, all of our viewers, pictures of your wonderful pets, right? Also, I know that we've said this a couple times. If you guys are willing to help us out in these trying times, we'd be ever so grateful. You can donate to our emergency fund. Donations in May this month are actually going to be matched by an organization called Quest for the Best Foundation, up to $25,000. They're going to match us. So if you guys are willing and able and are you know, interested in helping out the zoo, we would love those donations, and you can donate to our emergency fund through our website. All right, guys, so from me and Alpha, the African bullfrog, we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, okay? Thanks so much.